Right. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday, as we like to say, and welcome to our share class. As you guys can see, we have a special guest today. Love when we have special guests. This is Jessica Eaves, just this beautiful soul inside and out. She is an entrepreneur. She sells this clean crafted wine, and she also works at our local school, and she's just always giving back to our community. And the best part of all is she became a contributor for this mission of sharing life, love, and food back in the fall, I think it was. And we have loved having her a part of this. And it's just so fun that she's here. I'm excited to see, what she's going to make today and to learn more about maybe why she chose the recipe that she chose. And so I'm just going to turn it over to her, and I want her not to be nervous. And so that's our goal today, is that she not be nervous and that it's just natural and we're having fun together in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So take it away and tell us what you're going to teach us today.
Okay, so today we're making shrimp tacos with avocado tomatillo salsa. It's one of my favorite recipes. I actually didn't start making this until I moved to Colorado, and I just felt like it was kind of Southwest and we needed to incorporate that into our lives. And so I started experimenting a little bit with tomatillos. I don't know how many of you have ever used tomatillos. They're actually a pepper. So I like those very much.
I actually told people a couple weeks ago that you would be making a dish, and I didn't say the dish, but I said that you were going to be using ingredients that I have never used, and I have never used tomatillos.
Yes, they're very interesting, but I like using those very much. I also love, there's a shop here in Colorado Springs called the Olive Tap, and they have great oils. This one's the chipotle olive oil, but they have all kinds of different balsamic vinegars and olive oils. Have you ever been there?
I haven't.
No.
Where's it at?
It's Manitou Springs.
Okay.
So
awesome.
I love that.
The Olive Tap. Oh, I've heard of it.
The Olive Tap, yeah. So it's just down on Main Street in Manitou, but you can order online too, which is super cool. And then this spice shop, Savory Spice Shop, is awesome too.
Is that local?
It is local. It's on Tejon, so it's downtown area. And but I believe like Oklahoma City has them. That's where I'm from, Oklahoma. But Savory Spice Shop, I believe, is all over. Is it Penzies?
Penzies used to be, but they closed down. I think the only one is now up in Denver.
Okay. So anyway, I really like their chipotle seasoning.
Someone else, one of our viewers told us about this spice shop. I just forgot that it was called Savory Spice Shop. So that's fun.
They have a Vietnamese cinnamon that is amazing. If you like to make dried fruit at all, we dry mangoes like 20 pounds at a time. And my kids just love those, and we use Vietnamese cinnamon on those.
That's delicious. Fun. So we've had lots of discussions over the course of these share classes. We had a viewer, Corrine, who shared with us about roasted cinnamon.
Oh.
And have you ever had this?
I've not.
So I ordered it, and now I'm hooked. It's got this intense smell, and it's wonderful.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'll check that out. So chipotle, are you familiar with chipotle peppers?
I am not, and I told her, I think last night, I said my frame of reference with chipotle is chipotle burritos, but not chipotle seasoning. So I love that I'm learning today too.
So a chipotle pepper is very simple. It's a jalapeno that's been smoke dried. So when you see in the grocery store or hanging sometimes the dried peppers, so you've seen dried like red peppers. Well, if they're super dark, a lot of times they're jalapenos. So yeah, they're just smoke dried and then ground.
That is really interesting.
Yeah, so this is basically just ground smoke dried jalapeno.
Okay.
Yeah. But the savory spice, they're great.
And so if you don't have this on hand, could you use a jalapeno, or it's not going to give you that smoky flavor?
It's not going to give you the same smoky flavor. If you don't have the chipotle pepper spice, that's okay. You can make a mixture of chili powder, smoked paprika, garlic, onion powder. I would say some cumin, probably. Those spices together, that would taste pretty similar.
Yeah, and I just answered my own question about the jalapeno, because you can definitely
the heat.
Smell the smokiness of it. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, take it away. Show us.
Okay. So I'm going to take a bowl here.
And you just tell me also how I can help you too.
Okay.
Can I tell them something else?
Sure. I don't know.
I'm like, do you want me to lay out the teaspoons and tablespoons? And she's like, no. She's like, did you measure? And I'm like, well, I really don't measure. So you show us how you do it. That's the fun part.
My grandmothers taught me to cook for the most part. Not that my mom wasn't a cook, but my dad actually taught me how to make gravy. When I was like 5 years old, I remember standing on a stool in the back of a restaurant because he would go to this restaurant every morning and he hated their gravy. And so he was like, can I please teach you how to make gravy? And so he did. He took them to the kitchen. He said, the only catch is I need to take my daughter with me. My daughter has to come too. So he taught me how to make gravy and he taught the restaurant owner how to make gravy that day too.
No way.
True story. And yeah.
Aww.
Anyway, kind of
super special.
Yeah, kind of fun fact, I guess. So this is adobo seasoning. It's
I have never used that either.
Smell it.
We are learning all sorts of new things. Have you guys ever heard of adobo? Maybe it's just me. Oh, that smells really good.
Yeah, it smells good.
What
do you smell?
Well, it's a soft, sharp smell, but I can't pinpoint what's in it. I mean, I can smell that it's going to add some salt to it.
Salt, yep.
But I almost smell it like a hint of lemon.
I see. I smell that too.
Just
and
slightly.
It's not that you're wrong, but
what is it?
To my knowledge, it doesn't contain lemon. So turmeric, garlic powder, onion powder if you're making it at home, salt, pepper, and oregano.
I'll be darned. Okay, so the oregano is
it smells good. Yeah, that's the lemony maybe scent. So like I said, I'm not good at measuring, but I use about a teaspoon. So if you are a measurer, go for it. So we'll say that's a teaspoon. That's probably a heaping teaspoon.
And typically you just grab the jar like this.
And I just give it a shake.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like when I'm making chili or something, I don't really measure. I just
kind of eyeball it. Another brand, since we're talking about Mexican food, that I really like is Williams chili powder. Have you ever used that?
You told me about this.
Oh my gosh.
I had never heard of it.
It is so good. It's from Oklahoma, so not my home state. But when I go to Oklahoma to visit family, I buy 2 huge containers of this chili powder. And I like to make my own seasonings and mix and whatever, but I can't make that. I can't. It's the best. So then about 2 teaspoons.
Actually, I have it in.
So yummy. So about 2 teaspoons of the chipotle seasoning.
Okay, so we have a teaspoon of the adobo, and then 2 teaspoons of the chipotle.
And then about a tablespoon of olive oil. Let's see, I'll wait until we have the shrimp. So let's take our shrimp. I don't know how many of you know how to peel shrimp. I just buy this from the meat counter, the meat and seafood counter at the grocery store. You can buy it in the bag, but I feel like it's better and just fresher if you get it from the deli counter. So while the recipe calls for peeled and deveined, I'm going to peel these so that you can see how it's done. I just slip my fingers under this right here and then just pinch. Super easy. And sometimes I accidentally put the peeling in the wrong spot and the meat in the other thing. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I messed up.
So if you guys see a nose popping up, our dog just came in. So if you happen to see that, that's just
he is the sweetest thing.
Yeah,
so, and then I always take this peel right here and kind of scrape if there's a little part that they missed to devein. And then
so today we usually have our overhead camera set up. Today we didn't set it up, but will you do that really slowly again and just kind of talk us through it? And you talk me through it, and I'll try to kind of hold it up a little closer so you guys can see.
So take 2 fingers. Hold it with your favorite finger. You know, whenever in gymnastics class, they always tell you lead with your favorite foot. So I'm right-handed, so I hold the tail with my right hand, and then I slip my thumb and forefinger under the peel.
Yep.
And then just pinch
kind of
and
slide it back.
yep. And then the whole thing just.
No, you're right. You know, I think I've always grabbed at the end of it and pulled, and sometimes you get some of it, sometimes you get all of it. So folding it that way and slipping your finger down in really does help.
So it helps, and you can.
That's an awesome trick. Yeah, you're right.
I'll try that. So when I was little,
where are we putting your?
I'm just placing them here. So when I was little, my grandfather. Oh gosh, see, they're slippery little guys. Anyway, one of my grandpas lived by the Gulf of Mexico in a little town called Seadrift. I don't know how many of you ever heard of Seadrift. It's tiny little, it's like a fisherman's town in Texas. And so they would catch all of these shrimp. And my grandma would sit and she would take this little metal tool thing that she had and she would devein them and then she would toss them, literally toss them to me in this huge big 5-gallon shrimp bucket. She called it her shrimp bucket. And then I would peel them. So
that's so
it
fun.
was so
I just realized
I'm
throwing them in there and I didn't devein some of mine.
Oh, they're already deveined.
They're already deveined.
Yeah, they're already deveined.
Okay.
Just if you see a little piece of vein, you know, I always.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone knows that on the shrimp that you can look at it and where it splits, there's usually a black line.
So you'll definitely want that.
Yeah, if you find that they're not deveined, then you want to take that out of there. Do you want to tell people why?
So that is like a shrimp's digestive tract. We'll put it that way. Scientific. We're teaching science today. Anyway, so yeah, peeling shrimp always gives me good memories of when I was a kid.
That is super fun. We used to, my grandpa would love to go crabbing.
Oh, that's
so we would
cool.
go crabbing at the Gulf of Mexico in Galveston.
Yeah, so Seadrift is not too far from Galveston. It's closer to Corpus Christi, about an hour, near Victoria. I believe
that's where most of our family lives. Actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we were thinking about going there.
So, in Colorado, this isn't really a wintry dish, so I'm not sure. Well, you know.
Yeah, just as everyone knows, we pre-recorded this in advance, and I was thinking about that, and I think it's the perfect
springtime
Cinco de Mayo
kind
of dish to think about making. And I mean, I love that you're making shrimp tacos because I've never had shrimp tacos. I make fish tacos all the time. You can ask my kids. I make
me so happy.
Yeah, fish tacos all the time, but not shrimp tacos. So this is new for me. So good.
So this is about a tablespoon.
Oh, I love the color.
Those of you, yeah, it's just so bright and it gives the shrimp some color, I feel like, too. So we need to use a little tiny bit more. Oh, no, actually, I don't, because the next thing we're going to do is take a lime. I always try to roll them around because then it gets those juices flowing.
I love lime.
Slice it. You like doing limes?
Mm-hmm. So super fun.
Give it a squeeze.
Carrie Rigor had done a share class for us a week or so ago. Yes, she's fabulous.
Carrie.
And she taught us this trick on limes that I thought was the best. I didn't know it.
Let's see.
And so I hope it was new to you guys when she shared it. And if you didn't see that particular episode, I'll just reshare what she taught us. She said on the end of a lime, there's lines.
What?
And if you follow those lines when you cut it.
Okay.
And sure enough, there are these lines on there. And hers, in her video, you can really see it. And that's how she cuts it into the wedges.
Nice.
And so when she opens it, she actually cuts around that middle pulp area.
That's pretty awesome.
Well,
I've never known that. I needed that life hack before.
Doing this. You do it your way. I always tell people you find a way that works for you.
Yeah, but that's
because there's no right or wrong. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you ever work with pomegranates?
Oh, yes.
The pomegranate trick is one that I've not yet mastered, but there are tricks on getting all those seeds out. Do you know how to do all that?
Yeah, so my daughter sent me a TikTok of how to do it. And I actually, somewhere on the blog, I think we showed me trying to cut it. And I learned as I was going. And the trick is amazing, how you cut in certain segments. You open it then, kind of butterfly it open, and literally they pop out.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, it was super
So
fun.
awesome.
But it took me a second, and so I show you on that film how I kind of messed up as I was doing it, but I figured it out.
That's awesome. Look how yummy those
That
look.
looks
They look
yummy.
so good. Okay.
So I know people are going to ask this question, and you mentioned it at the beginning.
Garlic.
A lot of people have frozen shrimp
Uh-huh.
in their freezer. You would defrost it if you use that. But I can tell just looking at this kind of shrimp, it's not going to be the same flavor. Don't you find that the reason probably why you said this is that you like to get it at the deli counter is because when you buy frozen shrimp, it can soften up super quickly.
Does.
Yeah, it'd be chewy and
yep, it gets tough and it gets chewy, and so I do like to buy my shrimp fresh. And
it brings back memories.
I like it with the skins on too. I'm just getting all of this everywhere. This is my first cooking show. Okay.
Your debut.
This is my debut. I'm sure Barefoot Contessa is gonna come knocking any moment. She probably already did with Elayne, because Elaine's the magical chef. The magical chef. And I'm the Hot Mess Express chef.
No, I think we're a nice combination of both. So
yeah, Elaine's the together one. Okay, so I'm gonna just
try to move that out of the way.
Oh, thank you.
Bit. Yeah.
So if you take your knife and just give it a good pound.
And how do you typically do your garlic? Do you use a garlic press? Do you?
So I have a garlic press. It's just my favorite thing because this is weird, but typically whenever I try to take the skin, this stuff out of the press, so I don't use that thing very often, but I have a little mincer. I guess that's what you call it, a little bitty mincer, and it's just like this big. I got it from, I think, Williams Sonoma, and I love it because it's cute and it's easy to use and it's quick, but it doesn't hurt my fingers getting the peelings out.
Here, let me do that.
Okay,
We're standing there.
Oh, is that it? Helping.
Okay.
You're my
Your sous chef.
yeah, and my emotional support. I'm really nervous. Deep breaths. Okay, so just chop it up.
See, now you're not nervous at all anymore.
No,
everyone's
so
so
warm. Elayne was so warm and comforting. She was, fun fact, the first person when I moved to Colorado in 2017. I had some friends that invited me to come have lunch with them and just in the break room. And I kept saying no because from Oklahoma, when you're from the South, people ask you multiple times. So the first time you're supposed to say no because that's polite.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so I would say, oh, no, that's okay. And they would never ask me again. And so Elayne, I met her and I heard that she was super nice and she's even cooler than people say she is. And she said, let's have lunch sometime. And I was like, okay. And she said, when? And I was like,
put me on the spot.
What? So she was the first person, my first friend that I had lunch with, and I will never forget that. So I think it's cool that we're cooking today. Okay, so the garlic is in here, the adobo seasoning, the olive oil.
Guys, it smells so good.
It does.
Sorry, I'm interrupting your train of
The
thought.
chipotle seasoning, so I think, and lime juice, that's very important. So now we can just set this in the fridge. Would you like to set that in the fridge? So we'll just let that rest for about 10 minutes. And now I have this garlic mess here. We're going to push that. All right, so do you know how to pick an avocado?
Tell me.
So I
squeeze them.
So I squeeze them a little bit. The skin needs to be shiny, and then when you pick the stem off, it should be a really nice like the inside of a lime flesh colored, I would say. So see how it's kind of a light green. I'll hold it up.
Point it.
You can see in the direction.
It is lime green.
So yeah, it's a lime green color, and you don't want any spots in there because typically that'll mean that there will be spots in the avocado too.
So that's a good tip. I did know this tip about checking the color, but I did not know about checking for brown spots there
brown
too.
spots. So hopefully we picked a good one.
It's the worst when you cut into it and it's all speckled.
Look how pretty.
That's beautiful.
And then
that's a great tip.
I had a friend that held her avocados like this, and she cut through the skin and did some serious damage. So I always remember her. I think of her. Ashley, if you're watching this, I'm not calling you out.
You just called me out.
Have you done it before too?
No, I haven't cut all the way through, but that's how I'm gonna think twice now.
Yeah, think twice because actually I think she may have like done like this. I don't know what she did, but I just know that every time that I cut up an avocado, I think of her.
Well, now Carrie on hers, when she did it, she was standing like this talking. I would have missed, and she perfectly
got that thing in there.
Knife and got it in and twisted. And
I'm so scared of losing a finger. I
don't blame you.
I just think that would be awful. Okay, so we've cut into the meat part of the avocado here. And then, let's see, what do I want to do next? This, I guess. So they have tiny white onions. So I would say if you're using an onion and it's about this size, like this is way bigger than my fist, I would use just half. Actually, maybe even just a quarter. So I killed some little pieces. I love this salsa because it's so just bright and it makes me think of spring. It's just a real pretty green color.
When she sent the recipe over to me, and when I looked through it, these are my absolute favorite kind of recipes that use whole, fresh ingredients and you doctor it with some spices. And I feel like, and I don't know if you feel the same way, the simpler the recipe, the better it is.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people think that it has to be complicated to taste good. And I think that the simpler, fresher, you're going to have an amazing recipe. And I can already tell just from these ingredients and the smell that's coming from that shrimp, how wonderful it's going to be.
Yes. So I love, especially summertime, spring and summertime, when all the vegetables and fruits are so fresh. I've actually made the same salsa. I've omitted the avocado, but used mango, and that's really good too. If you like mango salsa. Anyway,
actually, that's what we were going to be doing this week. We're doing.
Yes, we are going to use the food processor. I try to chop everything about the same size, and the reason for that is so that the salsa is just a really good, you kind of get a bite of everything. So that's something to think about as you're chopping your vegetables.
And so you don't necessarily want to throw in your whole onion.
Right, I wouldn't throw it in whole, no, because then I like to make everything about the same size. Squeeze on her.
Oh, and look at that, she just squeezed it out.
Yeah. Oh, are you a scooper?
I'm a scooper.
No, I'm a squeezer.
I've never squeezed my avocado.
Would you like to squeeze mine?
I think I would.
Okay, go for it.
That's going to be very satisfying.
When it is just so nice. If I'm making avocado toast, the kids will be like, "Can I squeeze avocado?" You know what? It was a
life changing.
And it's too. You know what else? Because it moisturizes your hands.
It does actually. It's true. You know, we talk about this all the time in the share classes about. It's so much more fun to learn together. You think that after you make something for a long time, you think you know everything about it. And then look, I feel like I've learned so much in just this short amount of time. I've never squeezed my avocados. This is so fun.
That's cool. That makes right there. It's just makes me not nervous anymore.
Good.
Okay. So now I'm going to take some cilantro, and I have a whole bunch of it here, but we don't need a whole bunch. And then I like to do this too. Do you do this to pull the leaves?
Yeah, when you de-stem it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some conversations about me and de-stemming time super finely.
It smells so nice.
It does.
It's satisfying.
It's funny because I've heard that people can have a love-hate relationship with cilantro.
That is true.
I love it.
So you know it can taste like soap to some folks. So if you're a soapy cilantro person, omit this ingredient because we don't want you having soapy salsa.
But tell us about it in the chat because I would love to hear if anyone has an aversion to it.
I've heard that's genetic. Have you heard that?
I've heard, yeah, I have heard that.
Genetic. I just think that's super interesting.
Wow, I love it.
I love it too.
I almost always have cilantro in our fridge.
Yep, us too. And I think Elayne grows hers because she's way cooler than I am.
I talked about that. My cilantro does come back year to year, but it's kind of small and it doesn't thrive. So I tend to buy it at the store rather than use what comes up in my garden.
So here's a fun fact. I have this herb garden. When I moved to the house that we live in now, it has a kind of a west, I guess, facing kitchen window. And so I wanted some fresh herbs growing in my window. And just because the sunlight is it's just perfect. So it gets just the right amount of sunlight. And so someone at work for Secretary's Day, I'm also a school secretary. I know, you're watching. It's cool, peaceful and chill and
vacation right now.
So anyway, someone got me a plant and it was a cilantro plant and then a basil one. It was like it's like they knew somehow that I wanted this herb garden. And so I bought a lavender plant. And then I went to Oklahoma. This was last May. My family, like my kids and I, quarantined for a while. I have all of my grandparents are still living. My papa's 90, my Mima's 86, and my grandma and grandpa are 82. So cool. And so anyway, I went to Oklahoma. So now I'm just gonna kind of roll this up and chop it. Anyway, so I forgot. I got off on a tangent. Now I forget what I was saying. Cilantro. Oh, herb garden. So my husband calls and says, Jessica, I am allergic to something in this house because he stayed in Colorado. And I was like, really? And before I left, he was kind of getting swollen eyes. He's like, the allergies are terrible. And I was like, there's nothing. I don't know what's wrong with you. Anyway, so he said, I'm allergic to something in this because I'm gone all day and then I come home. And so he walked to I said, walk to the windowsill because I have some new herbs grown in the windowsill. Like, it's right. And I said, take the lavender plant outside. It was a lavender. Allergic now. He's crazy allergic. So now, if he gets a little lippy, I tell him, I've got some lavender in the house, got your name on it. So anyway, but you know, I thought that was so crazy because I used to make this like lavender lemonade, like this lavender lemonade.
You told me about it.
And then lavender strawberries. Yes. My Aunt Addie, who is an amazing chef like Elayne, she makes these lavender strawberries. Loved it. And I had made this before and he never had a reaction, but now I don't do anything.
I wonder if
lavender.
there was something sprayed on that particular plant. Maybe it wasn't the lavender.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not trying to get a lavender again because it was scary kind of. So jalapenos. Does any one of you ever break out, your hands break out with jalapenos? Mine do sometimes. So I've learned, if anybody does like oils of any kind, you ever do like oils, like beef oil or any of those kind of oils? So if you have a thing with your skin that turns red whenever you're cutting up peppers, you can dilute that oil. You have to dilute it with another oil. So I'll rinse my hands with like coconut oil or whatever to try to get that off because just soap will make it burn. Yeah. So anyway, I thought I would.
So you take out your seeds.
So I do de-seed them. I'll leave a few just for a little bit of heat.
Yeah. This little fella right here, that inside with all the seeds. Sorry,
No, I did it.
Oh no! Did you get it in your eye? Oh dear.
It's gone. It's rinsed out. I think my eyes are just oily. It's totally fine. We're good. Really? If I look like I'm crying. No, it was me because I poked the jalapeno just wrong.
Oh dear. I can see that.
It's totally good. Oh. We're fine. If I cut my finger off, it's okay.
Well, so you guys, all these little seeds inside here, that's where all the heat is. And so I typically, our family, some people like spicy, some don't. And so
Does your family like spice or no?
I like spice, so I typically add it in, but sometimes I'll be kind to them and I'll only do half of it.
I know Elayne, and she is always kind in everything that she does. So this is the jalapeno. I did leave some seeds in. My kids are fairly young though, so they don't like a lot of heat. Okay, so we have our avocado, cilantro, white onion. I would say that was probably, for those of you who are measurers, a 1/4 cup of cilantro, about 1/3 of a large white onion or just a small white onion. A jalapeno pepper, I de-seeded it for the most part, and 1 ripe avocado, is a large avocado. And so now I'm going to work with these tomatillos.
Yeah, please tell me more about these.
Well, I don't know a whole lot.
And where do you find them? I don't think I've ever seen them in the store.
They are near the peppers.
Okay, so
near
the peppers.
Near the peppers.
Like,
yep.
Jalapeno peppers or like bell peppers?
I would say bell peppers.
Okay.
So you just peel them off. They do have kind of a tacky skin. See how they're kind of sticky? So I'll always give them a good rinse too. Which everything else, just so you know, everything else here has been rinsed. I didn't rinse the tomatillos because I wanted you all to kind of see how to peel them. But they are, yeah, they're.
See, I would set this out on a platter like this.
They're just so.
This is such
pretty.
a fun discovery. I had no idea.
They smell kind of like lime, a little. So the recipe calls for 4 fresh tomatillos, but the supermarket that I went to, they were kind of small. These are semi-small. They're the size of a little smaller than a regular tomato.
Them pretty much at any grocery store?
Yep, I would say, yeah, your regular grocery stores, Walmart. I don't know that I've seen them at Target, so, but maybe they have them. I don't know.
I am definitely going to go on
the skins are, the skins are kind of like sticking to me. So we just peel them as best you can, and then we'll give them a rinse.
Yeah, that's really fascinating,
isn't it? They're so cool and they're so yummy. So have you had tomatillo salsa before?
I've had it.
But just not made it?
I've never made them.
Okay. So I'm going to rinse these guys. See, that one's tiny. They're so cute when they're little too.
So yeah, I do feel that tackiness that's on there. So
yeah.
Is it, I wonder if it's a sap that comes off of this leaf.
I'm not sure. We should study it.
See, and that's a fun thing because I always tell you guys, like, if you're curious about something, make sure you look it up.
Look it up. So I'm going to give these guys a rinse.
I can, do I need to go do that for you?
It's up to you if you'd like.
I'm not doing my job.
So this one kind of has a stem on it. Size doesn't necessarily matter, but what I do look for is for this outside husk part to be lifting away. So if this looks super tight on the tomatillo, then I typically, those are not the ones that I would reach for at first. And I like to get a variety of colors too. The ones that are lighter in color are a little bit tougher, I would say. They're not quite as ripe, but for this salsa, that's a good thing because I like a lot of texture in this salsa. So you just
they're they're firm.
Is that
not soft
that they would look like on the inside?
Well, I knew that they kind of look like a tomato.
I kind of like a tomato, and people
but they're much firmer than a tomato.
They are much firmer. Yep. So I cut out that little stem part.
Here, I always talk about this too. We talk about aromatherapy through using fresh herbs.
These smell so good.
But I feel like this is also color therapy too.
Agreed.
With these colors, all from
I think it's just super so pretty. So you can chop them however you like, and then I just chop them about that same size as the avocado, maybe a little bit larger.
And again, you're aiming for something kind of uniform.
Yes.
So that way that when you do put it in the food processor, that it grinds up and you have even consistency. And you guys, don't worry if you don't have a food processor. You can certainly dice these and mince all of these, fruits and vegetables up.
A blender works just fine. If you have a blender, you can toss them in there. Yep. my food processor quit, and then I used my blender so much that it quit too.
Oh, no.
So I've got both of those on order. I'm not a very fast chopper.
You don't have to be. It's kind of fun to watch people and how they chop things.
So sometimes there's a little spot at the end. So I'll cut that out. But I think a lot of people believe that tomatillos are in the tomato family.
Oh, yeah.
I never chop things the same either. I don't know if you all are very uniform. Are you uniform in the way that you chop things?
I think over the years I've become more uniform in how I do it.
I'm a very spontaneous chef.
That's kind.
So, see, this time, well, no, that's not working.
If it's bigger, you mean like.
If it's bigger, then you can kind of pop that thing out there.
We're basically doing like 1/2 inch.
Yes, so they're just little, see that one's super ripe. And then, so I'm going to salt this too.
I always show you guys, I always store my salt in a container and I use my hands and reach in and grab it. I personally love kosher salt. Do you have a preference on the kind of salt you use?
I like kosher salt and sea salt. I love the Himalayan pink sea salt so much. So good on fries.
We've talked about it a little bit, but salt, I told people we could probably have a class on just
all the different types of salt.
Yeah, all the different kinds of salts. And really there's a true difference, the mild flavors that you get versus iodized salt, which is super sharp and bitter. And when you switch over, it's a night and day difference.
Absolutely. And I find that you don't use as much either. So,
and I've heard some people say that you can get the iodine that you need in your diet if you're not using it, but I feel like everyone eats enough oddball things that you get that iodine. That's like a random
fun fact. Okay, so we have the tomatillos. So this makes quite a bit of salsa, which is nice because if you're somebody that likes to make homemade chips, like if you have extra tortillas, you can just deep fry those and then sprinkle some tahini on there, or smoked paprika is good. But this salsa is excellent just for dipping too. All right, now we're gonna do our last line. Okay, so did you say it was Carrie?
It was Carrie.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna try to do her trick here. No, maybe not. Right there?
Yeah.
Let's try that. Let's see. I'm not a very good eyeballer.
Yep. And then,
did I do it right?
Yeah, and then she said just use the lines on each side and cut it. Put the lines on each side of it, and then you can even cut it down further if you want.
That's interesting. So now I'm just gonna.
So you use 2 lines. One was for the shrimp.
One was for the shrimp, and then one for this. Okay. This one up a little bit.
And I think that was the same for the garlic. We added some garlic. We needed 3 cloves. One was for the shrimp, and then 2 for this.
Yeah, actually, I've got 2.
No, I think that might have.
Okay, so no, we're good.
And I think we've had people share that you can use your those little garlic rollers.
Yeah, there are all different kinds of things for garlic.
There's tons of things.
I think people even take a glass jar and shake it, and it takes the skin off too, which I find super interesting.
Well, that would be probably on TikTok. Probably. I don't do TikTok.
I don't do TikTok either. No, the only TikTok that I do is like kids. It's time to get in the car. TikTok.
TikTok. She has 4 kids.
Yeah.
So she runs a tight ship.
I have. Well, probably not as tight as it should be. Some people probably think, no, it's not very tight. We had 4 kids in 5 years.
You've been busy.
That was.
We had 3 in 4, so I feel you. I don't think I could have added more.
You probably added like a 6th or a 7th. Okay. Did you already salt it?
You were talking kids.
Yeah.
I could have added a 6 or 7.
Yeah, she was not. See, she missed it.
I did miss it, and then
she circled back around.
I did circle back.
I think Aiden, Avery, and Ashton would have loved to have a 6th and 7th and 8th sibling.
No, thank you.
Did already salt it?
I did not.
Okay.
It's all you.
All right, so we're gonna give this a little sprinkle here.
And I love sprinkling. A lot of people don't like when you say sprinkle, but really use the ends of your fingers and grab that big punch, pinch of it. And this is kosher salt, so it's big crystals. So this food processor sometimes has a mind of its own, so we might go and hold the other end just to make sure it stays down on this side.
So I'm okay. I like. I do, because then you're kind of cheating, right? Because you don't want your regular. Okay, let's see.
Because if you turn it on, hit the on button, it can puree it down so it's a little smooth. You like keeping on it, texture.
It just looks so yummy. Okay, so now I spin on here. We go. Oh, yeah, this is about the consistency. I'll probably pulse it just a tiny bit more.
Do you taste it along the way?
Are you a
taster?
I do. I'd say I'm a taster. Are you a taster?
I'm a taster.
Are you a taster? All right. So,
Especially like with the salts and
Yeah.
you added in lime juice, and that's the best thing in salsa is to just brightens up the whole dish. Amazing.
it's just so great. I love it. Okay, so where shall we?
Let's see. Do we want to put it? I don't know if we can fit it all in there. We can use a couple of these maybe. And do you let your kids add as much as they want?
Oh, you know what? We didn't taste it. Do you want to taste it?
I do want to taste it.
Okay, let's grab another spoon. We need to make a little more salt in here. I may have done that prematurely.
I think it's great.
Does it need more salt?
I don't think so.
You're sure?
Yeah, you try it.
Okay.
See what
Well,
you
if I try it, then we'll have to get another spoon.
I can get another
Here we go.
spoon. When I got to the end of it, I feel like it needs maybe another
salt.
hint of it.
Yeah.
At first, I got the salty taste. I think tasting a lot.
Isn't it interesting that salt hits you at the beginning and then it hits you again at the end? All right. So now let's do this. What do you think? Eyeball, you think that's good?
Okay, side.
All right, that should work. But get in. Okay. So now we have some in this little ramekin. What do you think? Should we put a little more in there?
Yeah, we can use both of these.
More than one.
And I was asking you, do you let your kids then scoop on how much they want?
I do.
Or
So
do
I
you prep it
typically place it in a bigger bowl. We typically place it in a little bit bigger bowl. Do you want to do 4 or 2? Sure. What do you think? And then I just let them do it to their heart's content. That way, if they just like a little,
The bowl usually comes flying out at me. It's not even.
it's because you have a team.
I do have a teammate. It's so nice.
Right. I just love how pretty it is.
It's beautiful, you guys.
Okay, so now at this point, if you haven't already preheated your oven, I would do that because I like to warm my tortillas. It makes the kitchen just smell nice and balanced between this scent and the shrimp. And then it's very important too, no matter what type skillet you're going to cook your shrimp in, unless you're going to put them on the grill, which is great in the summertime as well. You can totally grill these shrimp. But I preheat my oven and then I'll start the oil. So I'm going to go over to the stove.
Yeah, and so we will come back and do this in just a second when your oven gets to 350. Okay, so we were gonna start, right? The skillet.
We were, but then I remembered we haven't chopped our cabbage. So you won't need probably a whole head of cabbage. And I know that some people do it this way, some people do it this way. Which way do you normally do it? Because normally I go about it like this. What do you do?
I typically will cut off the end.
Yep. I go like this. I love the way it looks in there. It's always something new.
That's really pretty.
And then I go this way. And I try to peel off that top couple, just because I think they're kind of yucky. And they're not as pretty. So then I'll just take it and pretty finely.
And I find that if I try to do this in the food processor, it shreds it a little too choppy or fine, and I think this adds really great texture. I mean, the color alone
Agreed.
is amazing.
Have you ever dyed Easter eggs with this? I
And
haven't.
beets, and
I have never done that.
that was 1 year.
But I
Usually the
do, because I
package.
think it's so
But
pretty.
that 1 year that I tried this,
Did it work?
it did.
Did you add vinegar?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vinegar I think is maybe
Helps
what.
maximize the color. I think it's so interesting that vinegar helps maximize the color, but then also like if you have a stain in a white shirt, it can take it right out. I'll be strange. I'm missing the face a little, please. I just miss the bowl here. Cut it like this too, because nobody wants a big piece of cabbage. So look how bright and pretty it is. You can also use a cheese grater, I guess,
I've heard that.
to do cabbage. Do you? I'd never buy the packaged
I don't.
grated cheese because it has so much added stuff on there. So I always grate my own cheese. I think it's made. Okay, so I think we can start on
So our
shrimp.
oven's on 350, and then now we're heading over to the stove.
Right.
Okay, great.
So, all right, so I got the shrimp out of the fridge, and now I'm gonna, there we go. All right, so it's very important to preheat your skillet, always. It prevents things from sticking, and also if you're ever pan searing like steak or any sort of meat, it can really stick if things are not kind of all the same temperature. So if you have a problem with sticking, it's probably because you have way too much like different heat going on, if that makes sense.
I love that tip that you just gave, and I think it bears repeating, is that, you know, I think people get into the habit of putting their skillet on, turning on the heat, and then adding in their ingredients right away. But taking your time and letting that pan really heat up is really key. Heat is so crazy important when it comes to cooking. I love that you said that.
And oils too. So I try to let my pan heat before I put the oil in, because some oils have a tendency to overheat too. And so sometimes I'll wait a while. So this is getting warm fast. Any type of pan works. Cast iron works, nonstick is fine, stainless is great. Just whatever you've got. And again, like I mentioned earlier, you can, if you like to grill in the summertime, you can put these shrimp in a basket and cook them over the grill. So a little bit, I would say about 2 tablespoons of oil.
And you're using that chipotle
And I
oil.
am using this chipotle oil. I don't have to. Sometimes I'll just use the regular olive oil, but I really want that flavor in there. All right. So it looks like
And
it's
can you
getting
use
pretty
any
hot.
type of pan?
I would say any type of pan, really. I use cast iron. I have not always had a gas stove, and recently my husband installed a gas line in my kitchen, and we have a gas stove, and I just love it. And I cook almost everything in cast iron. Not with a ton of grease necessarily, but just I just cook everything. I mean, pasta, everything. I know that's not for some people, and I think that's completely fine, but I don't know. I really like cast iron. So I have all kinds of different pans, hard anodized and stainless steel and all of it, but I really like cast iron.
So you're holding your hand over the heat.
I am. I do. I like to kind of feel it, and I'm double jointed. I know my hands look crazy probably compared to yours, but I can't make my hands flat because I'm double
I
jointed.
never noticed that.
Yeah, so now it's good and hot. So I'm gonna just drop one in here. Yeah, that sizzle sounds so nice. So just carefully.
I love that sizzle sound.
And these cook so quickly. I love that too because my son plays football, my daughter plays basketball, we've got kids involved in all different kinds of activities. And so I love that this is such a quick dinner. I'm taking my time certainly making it right now, but shrimp just cooks so quickly. So
Typically, how long do you cook it?
I would say 3 to 5 minutes. Shrimp, if it's cooked for too long, it can get sticky. Not sticky, what's like chewy almost. And so I avoid that texture at all costs. But just when it gets pink, so this piece right here, see how that tail is getting just nice and pink? So I have a tendency to turn it too. I know like when you're cooking steak or burgers, typically the rule is flip it once. When I'm cooking bacon, my kids are always like in such a hurry, but I'm like, you have to be patient. Just let it cook. But with shrimp, I'm bad about turning them probably more often than I should. I have to stand back. If you use a chipotle olive oil like that, make sure you stand back because it's very strong. And so you can like breathe that in. And I don't want to cough while we're doing my cooking debut.
Oh yeah, that really does cook up really quickly.
It does. It's so fast.
So typically while it's going, is that when you go over and put the tortillas in?
Yes.
Do you want me to do that for you?
That would be great.
Okay. So our oven's on 350 and we have our corn tortillas laid out on a baking sheet. So I am just gonna put these in the oven because literally we just have a couple of minutes left on the shrimp here. So I am doing my sous chef duties, putting it on for 3 minutes or so to warm up. And we are now back here and gosh, almost all of them are pink. You're right, this is like a great weeknight dinner.
It is so fast. We have another recipe that I make with shrimp that my kids just beg for. It's a shrimp pasta. And so that one requires you cook an onion and garlic and then just I typically add like Glen. Canned tomatoes, a great big can of those, lots and lots of garlic, and then crushed red pepper, or if you take your seeds from, leftover seeds from a jalapeno and just dry those, add those in, and that, oh my goodness, they just beg for that meal, and it's pasta, so either linguine or fettuccine, I usually use a thicker noodle, and then shrimp, you cook the shrimp in the tomatoes too. So it's so fast, it's like, could be a one-pot dinner. And then I use white wine in it as well. And oh man,
that
it is
sounds
so
so
good
good
and so easy. But it's kind of a spicy shrimp pasta. And my kids they love that so much. We like shrimp.
Yeah, you need to share that recipe with us.
Yeah, we can do that for sure. So they are almost all done.
And you guys see that darkness around there? That's all the flavor too.
Yeah, it really locks it in. That refrigerating it for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes really does help. Whew. Excuse me, Steve.
Bless you.
Thanks. Okay.
Getting a little too close to that chipotle oil.
Amen. Okay, so I think these guys are done.
Right, so now we're going to head back over and plate all this?
Yes, yes.
So we're meeting back in the middle.
We're meeting in the middle.
And it's
Look
fun.
how yummy those look.
Yeah, that's awesome. And look how these kind of crisp up too, and they start to curl when they're warm. Oh my gosh,
It just smells
so
so
good.
yummy in here.
So good.
All right, so we just need a couple of spoons, I think.
Awesome. I'll go grab one. I'm going to tell you about these boards. So I buy them at Costco. They're the cedar plank boards that you get the salmon on. But I keep them, you guys, and they're great. You can line them down the center of a table, kind of like the charcuterie boards. I use them for everything, but I love to play tacos on them because it looks so pretty.
That's so pretty.
So that's why I got them. What do you guys think?
That's awesome.
All right.
Oh, I can't believe we've never had a shrimp taco.
Had the shrimp up a second ago.
Okay, so we just take 3 or 4. So you can probably see, I said I have 4 kids. So whenever I make shrimp tacos at my house, we have to like triple this recipe. So I usually put 3 to 4 shrimp in there. I'm going to take a little bit. I'm making a mess here.
This is so beautiful. I can't get over it.
So,
and what I love, this is such a healthy meal.
yes.
You used a little bit of fat.
Yep.
It's not olive oil, the chipotle olive oil.
Yep.
We have some avocado in there that adds some good fats too. And then everything else is just fresh vegetables. And I say fruits and vegetables because the avocado.
Yep. And these are great as lettuce wraps. So if you're doing like a low carb situation, you can do it, you know, on romaine lettuce or whatever.
That's
kind of
what I do instead of the corn.
Instead of tortillas. And you can use whatever kind of fat you'd like. If you want to use coconut oil or olive oil, that's totally fine too. So we just put, I don't know how much salsa you like.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, you did it perfect.
Okay. So we'll do
that is
nice
amazing.
And then we'll take a little bit of cilantro. I think Auntie Barton would be proud.
She would be so proud of you. You've done
she'd be proud of you.
A great job.
I'm the sidekick.
No, not today. Not today. It's all you.
So
this is right up my alley. This is my absolute favorite way to cook. So you have hit the mark. And that was the great thing. I gave her complete free reign on what she wanted to share today. And
there we are.
That's incredible.
Okay, so I think we need a cheers. What do you think?
I think we do too. Can you guys see how beautiful?
See how pretty?
That is?
So simple, so quick. I know that this was an hour-long class, so it took longer than normal, but this truly is just especially if you have your shrimp thawed, and you can thaw a shrimp pretty quickly in cold water. So just pour, you know, cold water over it if you have shrimp in your freezer. But
so cheers to your cooking debut.
Cheers.
That's amazing.
So easy.
So that adobo chipotle seasoning, oh my gosh, I'm definitely getting that. It's got heat to it.
Yep. So the heat from that chipotle olive oil really like kind of sears it in there. But I love that olive oil so much.
That's amazing. Okay, I'll go second bite.
So
that's so good.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Oh, I love it.
I'm glad.
I hope you guys learned as much as I did today. This was fantastic. It's truly the best part of sharing. You just learn something new all along the way, and I couldn't have asked for a better person to do this along with me. So thank you.
No, thank you for inviting me.
You guys are going to love it. Please give her some shouts in the chat from what you learned today, and you know, if you want to hear from her again, I would love that.
And let me know if you have any questions. I'm certainly not a chef, but you know, my family likes my cooking okay. And if Elayne approves.
I know your family likes your cooking a lot. And you know, Jess actually agreed to stay on and be on the call today to answer any questions you guys have. So hit her up and you guys see how fun, loving she is, and she's hysterical. So you guys will have a lot of fun with her.
Well, thank you for having me, Elayne.
Yes, let's go and eat some more.
All right, sounds good. Okay, thank you.